What if I told you that 9 out of 10 applicants get completely stamped by the same handful of predictable questions? These aren't curveballs. They are designed to see how you really think, and most candidates are simply not prepared. In this video, I'm going to break down 9 common questions and give you the tools to answer them with total confidence in your next graduate school interview or a PhD interview. Welcome. If you've got a PhD interview on the calendar, this is probably the most important video you could be watching right now. We are skipping the generic advice and getting straight to the questions that truly separate the acceptable candidates from everyone else. Interviewers use these to look for authenticity, foresight, and genuine passion. They already know you are smart. What they want to know is if you have the grit and self-awareness to survive a research project that will take years of your life. I've seen so many brilliant students crash and burn because they prepared for the wrong things. Today, that stops. We'll go through each question, I'll expose the hidden trap, and I'll give you a framework for a killer answer. Let's get into it. So in the first section, we'll talk about the deceptively simple questions. We'll kick off with questions that sound like softballs, but are actually designed to catch you off guard. A very common question that you would almost always encounter is, why do you want this particular program? Or why do you want to do a PhD? This seems like an obvious question, right? But it's the first place most applicants stumble. The trap here is giving a vague, self-serving answer, saying you want prestige or even just to do research. It's way too generic. The interviewer are testing your core motivation. They need to know you have a fire in your belly that will keep you going when experiments fail and deadlines loom. Here's how to nail this kind of question. Always connect a past experience to a future goal. A great answer links a specific discovery from your previous research to a clear knowledge gap you are dying to fill. For example, during my master's work on climate modeling, I noticed that current models were terrible at predicting water shortages in sub-Saharan Africa. This wasn't only an academic puzzle for me, it has huge humanitarian consequences. I realized a PhD is the only way I can get the deep skills needed to build better predictive tools and actually contribute to solving that problem. See the difference? It's personal, it's specific, and driven by real curiosity. Another common question that usually treated as an icebreaker is, tell us about yourself. This is not an invitation to ramble through your life story or your CV. The trap is being unstructured. Too many people start talking about their childhood hobbies without connecting anything to the PhD they are applying for or the program they are applying for. Every single sentence in this interview should be building a case for why you belong here. The fix is simple, a 3-part story. First, a 1-sentence academic snapshot. For example, I just graduated with 3.9 GPA in physics from University of Maryland. Second, state your core research interests. For the last 2 years, I've been focused on applying quantum computing to cryptographic security. Third, connect it directly to them. And I'm here today because this program is a perfect place to develop the new scalable algorithms needed to tackle emerging security threats. It's short, sharp, and frames you as a focused researcher, not just another student. We've answered this particular question in one of our extended videos in the link below. The second set of questions is what I called prove it to us questions. These are questions where the committee leans forward and asks you to prove you've done your homework. An example of such a question would be like, why this specific university and this specific research interest or project? This is a massive test of your commitment. The trap is giving generic praise about the university's ranking or saying you just want to work in the field. That screams that you've copied pasted your application to 20 other schools. They want to know why you believe this lab or research team or program with this supervisor is the only place for you. A knockout answer comes from deep research. You have to show them you see the exact intersection between your work and theirs. For example, I was drawn to this program because of Professor Kelvin's 2023 paper on neural network optimization. My master's thesis produced a model that cut down on processing errors, but it fell short in real-time application, a problem your lab's recent work directly tackles. I believe my background in Edge AI could bring a fresh perspective to your ongoing biodiversity project. This proves you haven't just read their work, you've understood it and are already thinking about how you can contribute. Another question in the same category is, why should we choose you? Or what makes you the right candidate? This is your moment to shine, but it's a tightrope between arrogance and false modesty. Just saying you're hardworking or passionate is totally meaningless without proof. The committee needs a concrete, evidence-based pitch that connects your skills to their needs. Your answer needs to be direct sales pitch. The formula is simple. Link something you've done to something they need. Try this. My specific skill or an experience will let me contribute directly to a specific part of the project. For example, my master's research, which was published in the Journal of Applied Physics, led to a model that reduced measurement error by 20%. I'm confident I can apply the same methodology to your project on quantum sensor calibration and hit the ground running. So you are not just telling them you are good, you're showing them the value you bring from day one. So we are halfway through the video and the questions are going to get tougher. If you're finding this helpful, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment and like the video. Let's get back to it. The third set of questions is what I call the future facing and problem solving questions. This next batch tests your honesty, your foresight, and your ability to handle the messy realities of research or graduate school. Questions like, what challenges do you expect in this project and how will you overcome them? This might be the biggest trap in the entire interview. So many applicants think the right answer is to say, I don't expect any problems. They are afraid that admitting to challenges will make them look weak. This is completely wrong. It just makes you look naive because research is problem solving. A great answer shows you've thought ahead and have a plan. Identify a specific realistic hurdle you found in your reading. Based on my literature review, I know that data scarcity for this patient group could be a real challenge. Then show them your problem-solving process. My initial plan is to use a simulation to test the model's assumption. If data remains an issue, I have experience with adaptive modeling techniques that can account for that uncertainty and still produce valid results. This flips a potential negative into a huge positive, showing you are a resilient and strategic thinker. Another question that could come from this group is, describe a research challenge you faced and how you overcame it. This is where they want to see how you handle failure. The trap is to give a fluffy answer, or even worse, blame your equipment or your research partners. They want to see your thought process when things go sideways. The STAR method, situation, task, action, results, is your secret weapon here. Be specific and be honest. For example, a situation. In my undergrad project, our sensor data was way noisier than we predicted, and my initial hypothesis was a total bust. Task. My job was to find a meaningful signal in all the noise. Action. Instead of giving up, I systematically broke the problem down. I wrote some software filters for the data, and after talking with my supervisor, I shifted from a simple linear regression to a Bayesian method, which handles noisy data much better. Results. That pivot didn't just save the project, it led to a more robust finding that properly accounted for data's limitations. This shows you're methodical, not melodramatic. Another set of questions will be, what are your strengths and weaknesses? This is old classic. It stamps PhD applications who try to use the same old tired answers. The trap here, especially for the weakness part, is the fake positive. Please do not say I am a perfectionist or I work too hard. It sounds disingenuous and tells them nothing. This question is a test of your self-awareness. For your strength, be specific and give proof related to research. My key strength is my analytical rigor. I've co-authored 3 publications in peer-reviewed journals that demonstrate it. For your weakness, pick a real minor professional flaw and show you're working on it. I've sometimes gotten bogged down perfecting one section of a report, which can slow me down. To fix this, I've started using strict time boxing to get a draft done and then a circle back for polishing. It's made me much more efficient. This shows maturity and a commitment to growth. Section 4 is the practical and big picture questions. Finally, let's look at the questions that test your understanding of the PhD as a job and a long-term commitment. A question like, what do you want to do after the PhD? The trap here is being too vague. I'm not sure yet. It's a red flag. It suggests you haven't really thought about what or why you're doing this. They want to see that you view the PhD as a strategic move in a bigger career game plan. Be honest, but have a vision. You don't need your whole life planned, but you need a 5 to 10 year direction. If you want to stay in academia, name specific research interests or labs you admire. My goal, for example, is to land a postdoc position in a leading research institute. Ultimately, I want to become a faculty member and lead my own research team. If you're leaning towards industry, name the type of roles or companies that excite you and explain why this PhD is the ticket to get there. Question 10. If you disagree with your supervisor, how would you handle this? This final question is a test of your professional maturity. The trap here is to either be a doormat, I'll just do what they say, or to be confrontational. Science moves forward through debate, but it requires respect. Your answer needs to be collaborative and centered on evidence. Show you respect their experience, but also have confidence in your own judgment. A good framework would be like, first, I'll make sure I completely understand their point of view. Then I would calmly lay out the data or evidence that led me to a different conclusion. Framing it as a scientific puzzle we need to solve together. I might even suggest a specific experiment that would settle the disagreement. For me, the integrity of the research always comes first, and I believe respectful, data-driven debate is the best way to protect it. Bonus tip, or the secret ingredient. So these are like the 9 top questions you're likely to encounter. But there's one last thing. The secret ingredient that makes all of this work is asking your own smart questions. An interview is a two-way street. Prepare questions for them that show you already thinking like a future colleague. Ask about the lab's culture, the supervisor's mentorship style, or what successful students in their group have in common. This shows you are not only looking for any PhD, you are looking for the right PhD. And there you have it, the top 9 questions that trip up most PhD applicants, and a game plan to answer each of these like a pro. Remember, the goal isn't to have a robotic rehearsed answers. It is to do the deep thinking so you can answer them authentically. A PhD interview is your chance to show them not only what you know, but how you think and how you want to get in. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed for more tips to help you on your academic journey.